Thank you to the folks at WeeyLite for sending through their s03 RGB Pocket Lights. WeeyLite reached out asking if I'd like to review the s03s. In that same email, they said that they'd hope that 1, I'd be willing to post an honest review of the product on my channel, and 2, that I'd include a link to the product on their site, which would be an affiliate link under Viltrox, who own WeeyLite. The link below is an affiliate link which grants me a 10% commission on sales made through that link at no extra cost to you, and along with the discount code, you're free to use that on the Viltrox and WeeyLite sites. The email also stated that I may keep the product after the review, and that the only expectation from me was that I post this review within 45 days of having received the product. And the folks at WeeyLite and Viltrox do not get to see this video before it's published. Now, this is the first time a product has been sent to me for review on my channel, so needless to say, I'm quite excited. And with this excitement, I cannot fully guarantee that I'm completely unbiased in my energy, but I do guarantee that I'll make every effort to be honest in my opinions and honest about my experience with the WeeyLite s03 RGB Pocket Light. YouTube, hello, my name is Natalie, and this entire scene that you're seeing here within your frame is being solely lit by the WeeyLite s03s. I have 2 sets through here, going through a CCT settings, which are 5500 Kelvin, and those are my main light for this video, and they're chilling out behind a white umbrella diffuser, and they're set to 100% intensity. I have 2 out there in the corridor. Well, I have 1 in the corridor and 1 behind me in the same room, in addition to the key light. Alright, so first impressions upon opening these lights up. Coming from an Aputure MC environment, I was skeptical. These lights are incredibly light, surprisingly so at 72 grams. And to put this into perspective, the Aputure ALM9s are double that weight at 140 grams. Another first impression is that 2 of my 4 lights had a bit of a rattle to them when I gave them a shake, but I quickly realized it was just the on-off button, 2 of them which were not very snugly fitting in there. So the other 2 have them nice and tight, the other one doesn't, so there are no loose bits inside. But overall, I guess this is kind of a pedantic observation, but given how light they are, I think my overall first impression of the product would have been one of more confidence if the rattle wasn't there, so they kind of feel a bit more sturdy upon first impression. These shine nice and bright. I don't understand voltage and milliamp and those kinds of numbers and what that might mean for brightness, so here is a waveform with an Aputure MC. This is kind of the YouTube standard product with the WeeyLite s03 next to it. Now both are fully charged at 5500 Kelvin and 100% intensity, and I do have an ND filter on the lens so that the data doesn't blow out with overexposure, but here are the differences in exposure values produced at 100% intensity for both lights. I also found some build inconsistencies. So when charging, 2 of them have a bright red indicator on the top, which I thought was absent in another 2 of the lights that I have, but upon inspection I realized that the ones with the very clear red light on top, those were actually the anomalies, and that we should only be seeing a tiny red indicator on the side during the charge. So this over here that we're seeing at the top is light leak, I think. When charging, the light is red, and when charged, the light goes off. And if you forget whether the light is still connected to the app even though it's turned off, the light will be green. In other words, if the light is app turned off and not switch turned off, it'll shine green. And when you physically switch it off with the switch, the light will go off. Still with this first impression, Julia loved them. She was pretty impressed with how light they are, and she was stoked on the app. Now, she was unaware that other companies do have similar apps because she's not a filmmaker, but she does work in the app space, so her being impressed by the app was a positive indicator for me. Now, I don't love the idea of exclusively needing an app to work a product. I kind of hate the idea, but syncing the lights to the app is pretty much a carefree, hassle-free endeavor. It's so easy that my opinion on apps and lights was tapered with just a little bit, and let me show you. First off, the instructions are right there on the light itself. There are 2 methods for connection, and this is the one that I use. Open the app, and if you don't have Bluetooth turned on, it'll offer to open it for you, and by default you're up on channel 1. So let's go to channel 4 for no particular reason, and in this example go to light group A, turn the switch, and then turn your light on, and that's that. You're synced. This is light group A. Hit light group B, switch it on, turn on your light, and there's light B. And let's say that I want light group C to simultaneously control two lights with the same setting. So for example, my key light, hit group C, switch it on and turn on the two lights, and it's virtually instant. While I'm in group C, I can set my key lights to CCT control and let's say 5500 Kelvin and add 100% brightness or intensity. So in this example, I made light B nice and warm using the HSI wheel, and I like that reddy orangey color. Alright, so let's see how quickly I can run you through this app. Let's go to the scenario at channel 1. We have the light A, light B, and set C. And that's for two lights, which will be my key lights set to 5500 Kelvin under CCT settings. Let's turn those off for now and head on to light B, which is that one light. And I want to set this to a warmish light, and I'll do this using the HSL wheel. Set the hue and saturation, and this will increase the further out of the wheel that you go, the saturation. And you can also use the saturation slider for that, and the intensity can be set here at the brightness slider. You can also take note of the position in the wheel that you end up selecting, and the CMYK value is displayed as well. Let's turn light B off and mess around with light A for the rest of the app. Red, green, blue, white, yellow, that's kind of self-explanatory. You can mix, let's say, red with blue to give me purple, stuff like that. Here we can match colors based on the X and Y coordinates. Now this is getting nice and sciencey and kind of monitor specific. And if I'm not mistaken, as far as I know, X and Y represents chromaticity, so true color without the luminance. And if I'm not mistaken, this here, the brightness represents the capital Y in the equation, which is the luminance component. Gel matching. So with this one, I learned something new. So to the pros out there shooting with color gels, two of the popular industry standard gels being Roscoe and Lee. You can set the base color to match your light's temperature setting in Kelvin, and you can tell the app if you're using a specific gel on that light. So if I have a light set to 5500 Kelvin with a Roscoe light rose purple gel over it, I can match that with my WeeyLite s03 if I want, and that's pretty neat. I don't use these gels. Effects. To make things a little bit more fun and interesting, I tried to match me and my lights to some stock footage. So let's just take a look at how that worked out. And of course, the color picker. Everyone kind of goes nuts for this one. So let's set the hue on this light to match Baby Grogu, or the couch, or whatever else you want to match it to. And scene, and this is kind of where we can funnel off into the kind of con section of this review. Now first off, though the app is a good one, the connection of light to the app is seamless and features are top notch, but this app is the only way you'll have control of the light other than on off, and that really is a con in my opinion. There's no way to monitor battery status as far as I can tell, so this would almost make it unusable in a professional setting. But the lights can be used when plugged in and charging, so there is that. But I would have much rather preferred having the option to know my battery status whenever I want to know my battery status. And most frustratingly, and I don't know if this is user error and maybe I'm doing something wrong, if I have a light selected, let's say light A, and if I go into my scene but then I exit my scene without actually selecting a scene, the light disconnects and I can't reconnect it, and I kind of have to sync these up again via a new channel. And if I'm doing something wrong, please do let me know in the comments, and if I get a useful comment or an answer, I'll be sure to pin that so that everyone can get or can access that information nice and quick. You know, I'm not sure if there's too much more to show you or to say on these pocket lights. They're pocket lights. An additional little something that I can say is that I have dropped a few times and they seem to be doing just fine. And additionally, while I was playing around with them, kind of pushing them to see what I could do with them, sorry, my throat's got a tick now, what I could do with them to see whether I could kind of push them to the point of finding all the cons, I was kind of under the impression that these may be similarly priced to the pocket lights that I already own. Those of you that watch my videos probably know that I'm quite a fan of the Aputure MCs. I consider them to be one of the better investments that I've made for my video production and for my photography, and those go for around £108 on amazon.co.uk. That's for a single light, a diffuser, charging cable, and a nice pouch. So when I was playing around with these WeeyLites, I was assuming that they'll probably be marginally less expensive, and it was only after my first day of exploring that I realized that these are selling for under £30. Under £30. That's less than a third of the price of an Aputure MC. That's £20 cheaper than the Aputure ALM9, which is a great pocket light, but it's not an RGB light, and it only has an on-off switch and stepwise dimming. Granted, the Aputure MCs are arguably better built, they feel more expensive, they're magnetized. At the back, they come with a nice pouch, they've got a diffuser, and they can be individually controlled without the need of an app. They are most definitely a superior product, but one could ask themselves, considering what I want the Pocket Light for, are those premium features worth £78 per light for me? If you're taking these lights out to do some time-restricted client work in which the client or other collaborators will be present and dependent on the lighting that you are bringing, then yes, that £78 or however many dollars per light might well be worth it for you. If you're predominantly working at a studio on your own, or if you're at home without the pressures of having other people, other clients, colleagues, co-workers, co-creators or collaborators waiting on you, if you're looking for something to add an accent to your YouTube videos, I would argue that that extra £78 per light might not be necessary, and you might just be just as well off with a less expensive or more affordable light like the WeeyLite s03. There's a time and place for everything, and I do believe that there's plenty of time and space where this little light might be the perfect option for you, especially if you're a beginner looking to up your production value. Thanks for watching, folks.